The rain fell hard against the windows of Ashford Manor. Celestine pressed her hand to the cold glass. Her breath made small clouds on the surface. She watched the drops race down. Each one fought to reach the bottom first. Tonight was the night. She had decided. After 3 long months of stolen glances and careful words, she would tell him. She would tell Rowan how she felt. Her heart hammered in her chest. The feeling was so strong she could barely breathe. She had practiced the words 100 times in her mirror. "Your Grace, I must confess something." No, that sounded too formal. "Rowan, there is something in my heart." Too dramatic. "I care for you." Too simple. Nothing felt right. But it did not matter. Tonight, after the guests left and the house grew quiet, she would find him. She would speak the truth that burned inside her chest, like a candle that refused to go out. A knock at her door made her jump. She turned quickly. Her maid, Mary, peeked inside. "Miss, the Duke requests your presence in the drawing room," Mary said. Her voice was soft. Her eyes looked worried. Celestine's stomach flipped. "Now?" "Yes, miss. He says it is urgent." This was not part of the plan. Celestine had wanted to wait until later, until the house was empty and the world felt smaller. But perhaps this was better. Perhaps fate was pushing her forward. She smoothed her pale blue dress. It was simple but elegant. Her mother had chosen it before she died. Celestine always felt brave when she wore it. "Tell him I will be there in a moment," she said. Mary curtsied and left. Celestine looked at herself in the mirror one last time. Her dark hair was pinned back. Her cheeks were flushed. Her green eyes looked too bright. She looked like someone about to make a terrible mistake. Or a wonderful one. She walked down the long hallway. The paintings on the walls watched her pass. Ancestors she did not know. People who had lived and loved and lost in this very house. She wondered if any of them had felt this way, this mix of terror and hope. The drawing room door was half open. Warm light spilled into the dark hallway. She could hear voices inside. Rowan's voice, deep and steady. And another voice, female, high and musical. Celestine's steps slowed. She had not expected anyone else to be there. She reached the doorway and stopped. Through the gap, she could see Rowan standing near the fireplace. He wore a dark coat. His brown hair was slightly messy. He looked like he had been running his hands through it. He did that when he was nervous. Across from him stood Lady Victoria Helmsley. She was beautiful. Everyone said so. Her golden hair caught the firelight. Her red dress fit her perfectly. She smiled at Rowan like she owned him. Celestine's heart sank. She should leave. She should turn around and pretend she had never come. But her feet would not move. "I cannot wait any longer, Rowan," Lady Victoria said. Her voice was sweet but firm. "You must give me an answer." Celestine held her breath. An answer to what? Rowan looked down at the floor. His jaw was tight. "Victoria, this is not—" "You promised my father you would consider it," Lady Victoria interrupted. "It has been 3 months. 3 months of waiting, of wondering. I have been patient, but patience has its limits." Celestine felt cold all over. She understood now. Lady Victoria was talking about marriage, about a promise, about a future that did not include Celestine at all. She should go. She needed to go, but something kept her frozen in place. Some terrible need to hear what Rowan would say. Rowan lifted his head. He looked at Lady Victoria with an expression Celestine could not read. Was it sadness? Resignation? Duty? "You are right," Rowan said quietly. "You have been patient, and I have been unfair to you." Lady Victoria's smile grew wider. "Then you have made your decision?" Rowan nodded slowly. "I have." Celestine's hand flew to her mouth. She pressed hard to keep any sound from escaping. Her eyes burned. Her chest felt like it was caving in. "I will marry you, Victoria," Rowan said. Each word was careful, measured. "I will speak to your father tomorrow and make the arrangements." Lady Victoria laughed. It was a bright, happy sound. She rushed forward and took Rowan's hands. "Oh, Rowan, you have made me the happiest woman in England." Celestine could not watch any more. She turned and ran. Her shoes made no sound on the carpet. Tears blurred her vision. She did not know where she was going. She just knew she had to get away. She almost confessed her feelings. She had been ready. She had been brave. But the Duke spoke first, and he ruined everything. Celestine did not sleep that night. She lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling. The rain had stopped. The house was silent. But her mind would not stop racing. How could she have been so foolish? How could she have thought Rowan felt the same way? He was a duke. She was nobody, the daughter of a country doctor. She lived in Ashford Manor only because Rowan's mother had been her mother's closest friend. When both women died within months of each other, Rowan had honoured their friendship. He had invited Celestine to stay. He had treated her like family. But she was not family. She was a guest, a charity case, a girl with no fortune and no title. Of course he would marry Lady Victoria. Lady Victoria was everything Celestine was not. Wealthy, connected, beautiful in the way society valued. Celestine had been a fool to hope. When dawn finally came, she got out of bed. Her eyes were red, her head ached, but she could not hide forever. She dressed in a simple grey dress. She pulled her hair back tightly. She made her face blank. If she had to see Rowan today, she would not let him see her pain. She went downstairs. The house was waking up. Servants moved quietly through the halls. The smell of bread and tea drifted from the kitchen. Celestine went to the small breakfast room. It was her favourite place in the house. Large windows looked out over the gardens. In the spring, roses bloomed. Now, in late autumn, everything was brown and bare, but she still found it beautiful. She was pouring herself tea when the door opened. She looked up. Her heart stopped. Rowan stood in the doorway. He looked tired. His eyes had dark circles. His coat was wrinkled like he had slept in it. "Celestine," he said. His voice sounded rough. "I was hoping to find you here." She set down the teapot carefully. Her hands wanted to shake. She would not let them. "Your Grace." He flinched. "Please, not that. Not you." "Is that not proper?" She kept her voice even, cold. "You are the Duke of Ashford. I am a guest in your home. We must remember our places." Rowan stepped into the room. He closed the door behind him. "What is wrong?" "Everything," she wanted to scream. "You are marrying someone else. You are breaking my heart and you do not even know it." "Nothing is wrong," she said instead. "Congratulations on your engagement. Lady Victoria is a lovely choice." His face changed. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise? Confusion? "You know about that?" "The whole house knows, I imagine. Good news travels fast." "Celestine." He moved closer. "I need to explain." "There is nothing to explain." She picked up her teacup. It gave her hands something to do, something to hold on to. "You are doing what is expected, what is right. I am happy for you." The lie tasted bitter on her tongue. Rowan stared at her. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Are you truly happy?" The question caught her off guard. She looked at him, really looked at him. His brown eyes searched her face, looking for something, looking for the truth. She could tell him, right now. She could say the words that had been burning in her chest for months. "No, I am not happy. I am destroyed. Because I love you. Because I thought you might love me too." But what good would it do? He had made his choice. He had chosen duty. He had chosen Lady Victoria. "Of course," she said quietly. "Why would I not be?" Something in his expression broke. He looked away. Of course. Why not? The silence between them was terrible. It pressed down on Celestine until she thought she might scream. I should go, Rowan said finally. I have much to do today. Arrangements to make. He turned toward the door. Celestine watched him go. Each step felt like a blade in her chest. He reached for the door handle. Then he stopped. He stood very still. His shoulders were tense. I wish things were different, he said. He did not turn around. He did not look at her. I wish I were a different man. A better man. One who could choose what he wants instead of what he must do. Then he was gone. The door clicked shut behind him. Celestine stood alone in the breakfast room. Her tea grew cold. The sun rose higher in the sky. And she finally understood. Rowan had not chosen Victoria because he loved her. He had chosen her because he had to. Because duty demanded it. Because dukes did not marry penniless girls no matter what their hearts said. It did not make the pain any less, but it made it different. More complicated. More cruel. Because maybe, just maybe, Rowan felt the same way she did. And it changed nothing at all. The next 3 days were torture. Celestine tried to avoid Rowan. But Ashford Manor was large without being infinite. They passed each other in hallways. They ate meals at the same table. They existed in the same space while carefully pretending they did not. Lady Victoria visited every day. She brought wedding plans, guest lists, fabric samples. She talked endlessly about the ceremony, about the reception, about the life she and Rowan would build together. Celestine smiled. She nodded. She said polite things at polite moments. Inside, she died a little more each time. On the 4th day, she decided she could not stay. She would leave Ashford Manor. She would find a position somewhere, a governess perhaps, or a companion to some elderly lady. Anything that took her far away from Rowan and his beautiful bride. She was in the library writing letters when the door burst open. Rowan's younger sister, Lady Eleanor, rushed in. Her face was flushed. Her eyes were wide. Celestine, thank heavens! Eleanor grabbed her hands. You must help me. It is urgent. Celestine set down her pen. Eleanor was only 16. She was dramatic about everything. What happened? It is about Rowan, Eleanor whispered. She looked at the door like she expected someone to be listening. I discovered something terrible. Something he does not know I know. Celestine's stomach tightened. What kind of something? Come with me. I will show you. Eleanor pulled Celestine out of the library. They went up 2 flights of stairs to the 3rd floor. This part of the house was older, less used. The walls were plain. The carpet was thin. Eleanor stopped at a small door tucked into a corner. She pulled a key from her pocket. I found this room by accident last week. I was exploring. The key was hidden in Mother's old jewelry box. She unlocked the door. It opened with a creak. Inside was a tiny room, more like a large closet. A single window let in gray light. Against one wall stood a small desk. On the desk were stacks of papers. What is this? Celestine asked. Eleanor walked to the desk. She picked up one of the papers and handed it to Celestine. Read it. Celestine took the paper. It was a letter. The handwriting was messy, rushed, but she recognized it. It was Rowan's. My dearest C, another day without you is another day of half-living. I wake. I perform my duties. I smile at the right moments. But none of it means anything. None of it is real. You are the only real thing in my false life. Your laugh, your smile, the way you tilt your head when you are thinking. These are the things that keep me breathing. I know I cannot have you. I know my path is set. But that does not change what I feel. It does not make this longing any less. Yours always, R. Celestine's hands started shaking. When did he write this? Eleanor picked up another paper. And another. They are all dated. This one is from 2 months ago. This one from 6 weeks. This one from last week. He has been writing them for months. Celestine looked at the stacks on the desk. There were dozens of letters, maybe hundreds, all in Rowan's handwriting, all starting with, "My dearest C." C, Celestine whispered. He means me. Of course he means you. Eleanor's voice rose with excitement. He loves you, Celestine. He has always loved you, but he thinks he cannot marry you because of father's will. His father's will? Celestine felt dizzy. She sat down on the edge of the desk. What does that have to do with anything? Eleanor's face grew serious. Father left the estate to Rowan with one condition. He must marry a woman of good family and substantial fortune before his 30th birthday. If he does not, everything passes to our cousin. The house, the land, the title, everything. When is his 30th birthday? Next month. The room spun. Celestine pressed her hand to her forehead. So he is marrying Victoria because she meets the requirements, Eleanor finished. Her family is one of the oldest in England. Her fortune is enormous. Father would have approved. But Rowan does not love her. No, he loves you. The words hung in the air. They were everything Celestine had wanted to hear, and they meant nothing at all. It does not matter, Celestine said. Her voice sounded hollow. The will is the will. He has no choice. Eleanor grabbed Celestine's shoulders. Her grip was surprisingly strong. There is always a choice. You could leave. You could go somewhere and make a life. Rowan could follow you after he loses the estate. You could be together. He would hate me. Celestine pulled away. She walked to the window. Outside, the garden stretched into the distance. This land had been in Rowan's family for 200 years. He would lose everything because of me. His home, his legacy, his responsibility to all the people who depend on him. He would grow to resent me, to hate me. Or he would be happy, Eleanor said softly. Maybe love is worth more than land. Celestine wanted to believe her. She wanted to believe love could conquer anything. But she had lived in the real world long enough to know better. I need to go, she said. She moved toward the door. I need to think. Celestine, wait! But Celestine was already running. Down the stairs, through the hallways. She did not know where she was going. She just needed to move. To do something with the chaos inside her chest. She ended up in the stables. The smell of hay and horses was comforting, familiar. She leaned against one of the stalls and tried to catch her breath. Rowan loved her. The thought was too big to hold, too impossible to believe. Rowan loved her, and he was marrying someone else anyway. Because that was what duty demanded. That was what honor required. She understood now why he had looked so broken in the breakfast room. Why he had said he wished he were a different man. He was trapped. They both were. Miss Celestine? She turned. One of the stable boys stood nearby. He looked concerned. Are you well, miss? Yes, I am fine. She straightened up. She forced a smile. I just needed some air. The boy nodded but did not look convinced. Shall I saddle a horse for you? A ride might help. A ride, yes. That was exactly what she needed. To go somewhere, anywhere. Please, any horse will do. The boy brought out a gentle mare named Daisy. Celestine had ridden her before. She knew the horse was calm and steady, perfect for someone who was barely holding herself together. She rode out of the stable yard without a destination in mind. She just let Daisy choose the path. They went through the woods, past the stream, over the hills where sheep grazed. The cold air stung Celestine's cheeks. The wind pulled at her hair. But she felt better. The movement helped. The distance helped. She rode for an hour, maybe more. When she finally turned back toward Ashford Manor, the sun was starting to set. The sky turned pink and orange. It was beautiful. The kind of beautiful that made your chest ache. She was almost back to the stables when she saw him. Rowan stood at the edge of the woods. His horse was tied to a tree. He looked like he had been waiting. Celestine's first instinct was to turn Daisy around, to ride away before he saw her. But it was too late. He was already walking toward her. She stopped the horse. She waited. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Rowan reached her. He looked up at her. His face was pale. His eyes were red like he had been crying. "Eleanor told me," he said. His voice was rough, broken. "She told me you found the letters." Celestine could not speak. Her throat was too tight. "I should have burned them," Rowan continued. "I should have destroyed them the moment I wrote them. But I could not. They were the only place I could be honest. The only place I could admit the truth." "The truth," Celestine managed. "That you love me." Rowan flinched like she had struck him. "Yes, that I love you. That I have loved you since the moment you came to this house, since I saw you standing in the rain at my mother's funeral, since you held my hand and told me it would be all right, even though we both knew it would not." Tears streamed down Celestine's face. She could not stop them. "Then why? Why are you marrying her?" "Because I have no choice." Rowan's voice rose. It echoed through the trees. "If I do not marry Victoria, I lose everything. Not just the house, not just the land, but the livelihood of every person who works here. Every tenant, every servant, every family that depends on Ashford for their survival. How can I choose my own happiness over their lives?" "So you will be miserable instead?" "Yes." The word was simple, final. "I will be miserable, but they will be safe." Celestine climbed down from the horse. Her legs felt weak, but she needed to stand. She needed to face him. "And what about me? What about what I feel?" Rowan stared at her. His eyes widened. "You? You feel—" "Yes!" The word burst out of her. "Yes, I love you. I have loved you for so long I cannot remember when it started. I was going to tell you that night, the night you proposed to Victoria. I was going to confess everything. But you spoke first, and you ruined everything." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the wind seemed to stop. Then Rowan moved. He closed the distance between them in 2 strides. He grabbed her face in his hands. His touch was gentle despite the urgency. "You love me," he said. It was not a question. It was a prayer, a miracle. "I love you," she whispered. He kissed her. It was not gentle. It was desperate, hungry. Years of longing poured into a single moment. Celestine kissed him back with everything she had, all the pain, all the hope, all the love she had been holding inside. When they finally pulled apart, both were breathing hard. Rowan pressed his forehead to hers. His hands still cradled her face. "I cannot marry you," he said. Each word sounded like it was killing him. "I cannot give you what you deserve." "Then give me what we have." Celestine's hands covered his. "Give me this moment. Give me the truth, even if that is all we can have." "It is not enough." "It has to be." They stood like that for a long time, holding each other, memorizing each other, knowing it would have to last a lifetime. Finally, Rowan stepped back. He looked broken, shattered. "I should not have kissed you. I should not have made this harder." "I am glad you did." Celestine touched her lips. They still tingled. "I am glad I know, even if it changes nothing." Rowan mounted his horse. He looked down at her. "I will love you until the day I die, Celestine, whether I am bound to another woman or not. That is my truth. That is my curse." Then he rode away. Celestine watched him go until he disappeared into the twilight. She had almost confessed her feelings, and in the end, she had. But the Duke spoke first, and even though they both confessed, even though they both loved, it ruined everything anyway. Because sometimes, Love was not enough. Sometimes duty won. The next week passed in a blur. Celestine moved through her days like a ghost. She packed her things. She wrote more letters seeking employment. She made plans to leave Ashford Manor forever. She could not stay. Not now. Not knowing what she knew. Not feeling what she felt. It would destroy her to watch Rowan marry Victoria, to see him build a life with someone else. She had to go. The wedding was set for 3 weeks away. Victoria had insisted on a quick engagement. She wanted to be married before Christmas, before the year ended. Celestine planned to leave before then. She would go to London. She had a distant aunt there. The woman was not warm, but she would take Celestine in until a position could be found. It was not much of a plan, but it was something. 2 days before she was supposed to leave, Eleanor found her again. This time, Eleanor looked different. She looked determined, fierce. "I need to tell you something," Eleanor said. "Something about Father's will." Celestine was folding dresses into a trunk. She did not look up. "Eleanor, please, I cannot talk about this anymore." "You must listen." Eleanor grabbed Celestine's hands and stopped her from packing. "I spoke to Father's old solicitor. I asked him to explain the will to me, every detail." "Why would you do that?" "Because I wanted to know if there was a way out, a loophole, something Rowan missed." Celestine's chest tightened. "And?" Eleanor smiled. It was a small smile, but it held so much hope. "The will says Rowan must marry a woman of good family and substantial fortune. Those are the exact words." "Yes, we know this." "But what if you are that woman?" Celestine stared at her. "Eleanor, I have no fortune. I have nothing. But you do have good family. Your mother's family is one of the oldest in the county. Your grandfather was a baronet. That makes you gentry. That meets the first requirement. But the fortune, what if I give you mine?" The room spun. Celestine sat down heavily on the bed. "What?" Eleanor sat beside her. She spoke quickly, urgently. "I have a trust fund from our grandmother. It becomes mine when I turn 18. But I can access it early with Rowan's permission. It is a substantial sum. More than substantial. If I give it to you, you would meet both requirements." "Eleanor, I cannot take your money." "You are not taking it. I am giving it. There is a difference." "Why would you do this?" Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. "Because I love my brother. Because I have watched him suffer for years under the weight of duty. Because I know he will die inside if he marries Victoria. And because I love you too. You have been more of a sister to me than anyone else. You are family. You deserve happiness." Celestine shook her head. It was too much. Too impossible. "Even if I agreed, Rowan would never allow it. He would never let you give up your fortune. He does not have to know." Eleanor gripped Celestine's hands tighter. "We can structure it so the money appears to come from an inheritance, from some distant relative. By the time Rowan discovers the truth, you will already be married. It will be too late." "That is deception. That is love." Celestine stood up. She walked to the window. Outside, the grounds of Ashford Manor spread out in every direction. This place had become her home. Rowan had become her heart. Could she really do this? Could she trick him into a marriage that saved him? "What if he hates me when he finds out?" she asked quietly. "He will be angry," Eleanor admitted. "But he will also be free. Free to marry the woman he loves. Free to keep his home. Free to live the life he deserves. Is that not worth his temporary anger?" Celestine closed her eyes. She thought about the letters hidden in that tiny room. All those words Rowan had written. All that love he had poured onto pages because he had nowhere else to put it. She thought about his face when he kissed her, the desperation, the longing. She thought about Victoria, about a loveless marriage, about Rowan dying slowly inside while pretending to be happy. "How would we do it?" she asked. Eleanor jumped up. her face lit with excitement. "I have it all planned. We tell everyone about your inheritance tomorrow. We announce your new status. Then you and Rowan can have a whirlwind courtship. You marry before his birthday. The estate is saved. Everyone is happy." Not Victoria. Victoria will find another duke. There are plenty to choose from. But Rowan will never find another you. Celestine turned back to Eleanor. "If we do this, you must promise me something. Anything. You must never tell Rowan what you did. Never. If he asks, I will take the blame. I will say it was my idea. I will protect you." Eleanor's eyes shimmered with tears. "You do not have to do that." "Yes, I do. You are giving up your future for us. The least I can do is protect you from Rowan's anger." Eleanor hugged her. It was a tight, fierce hug. "He is going to marry you. You are going to be my sister for real." Celestine hugged her back. She hoped Eleanor was right, but doubt still gnawed at her. What if Rowan refused? What if he saw through their plan? What if he chose duty over love anyway? "There is one more thing," Eleanor said, pulling back. "We need to break his engagement to Victoria first. Rowan is too honourable to break it himself. But if Victoria breaks it, he is released." "How do we make Victoria break the engagement?" Eleanor's smile turned sly. "We tell her the truth. We tell her Rowan loves someone else. We tell her she is marrying a man whose heart belongs to another woman. Victoria is proud. She will not accept that. She will end it herself to save face." It was a cruel plan, but it was also brilliant. "When do we start?" Celestine asked. "Tomorrow, at the breakfast table, in front of everyone." Celestine's stomach churned with nerves and hope. Tomorrow, everything would change. For better or worse. She almost confessed her feelings. The Duke spoke first, but maybe, just maybe, they could rewrite the ending after all. The next morning, Celestine dressed with shaking hands. She chose a green dress. Rowan had once said green made her eyes look like emeralds. She wanted to look her best. Today, everything would be decided. She went down to breakfast. Her heart hammered so hard she felt sick. When she entered the breakfast room, everyone was already there. Rowan sat at the head of the table. Victoria sat at his right. Eleanor sat across from them. Several other guests filled the remaining seats. Rowan looked up when Celestine entered. Their eyes met. She saw surprise, confusion, and underneath it all, that same longing that never went away. "Miss Celestine," Victoria said. Her voice was sweet but cold. "How lovely of you to join us. We were just discussing the wedding flowers. Do you prefer roses or lilies?" It was a barb, a reminder that Victoria was the bride, that Celestine was nobody. "I prefer honesty," Celestine said. She sat down. She looked directly at Victoria. "And I think you deserve honesty before you marry." The room went silent. Rowan's fork clattered to his plate. Eleanor's eyes went wide with excitement. "I beg your pardon?" Victoria's smile tightened. "You deserve to know the truth about your betrothed." Celestine's voice was steady now, clear. "You deserve to know that he is in love with someone else." Rowan stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "Celestine, stop." "No." She stood up too. She faced him across the table. "No more silence, no more pretending. Lady Victoria deserves to know what kind of marriage she is entering." Victoria's face turned white, then red. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that Rowan does not love you. He loves me. He has loved me for months, maybe longer, and I love him." The words hung in the air like smoke, heavy, unavoidable. Rowan stared at Celestine. His face showed 100 emotions at once: shock, anger, hope, fear. Victoria laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. "This is absurd, Rowan, tell her this is nonsense." Rowan did not speak. He just looked at Celestine. His eyes said everything his mouth could not. "You cannot even deny it," Victoria whispered. She stood up, her hands trembled. "You cannot even lie to spare my dignity." "Victoria, I am sorry," Rowan began. "Sorry?" Victoria's voice rose. "You have made me a fool. You have let me plan a wedding while you pine for some penniless orphan. How could you?" "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did." Tears streamed down Victoria's face. "You hurt me. You humiliated me. And for what? So you could protect your precious estate? Well, I hope it was worth it, because I will not be part of this farce anymore. Our engagement is over, Your Grace. Find some other fool to be your Duchess." She swept out of the room. The door slammed behind her. The sound echoed like a gunshot. The remaining guests whispered to each other, shocked, delighted. This would be gossip for months. Rowan turned to Celestine. His face was pale. "What have you done?" "I have freed you," she said quietly. "Freed me? You have destroyed me. Now I will lose everything. The estate, the title, everything my family built for generations. How is that freedom?" Eleanor stood up. "She has not destroyed you. She has saved you." Rowan turned to his sister. "Eleanor, stay out of this." "No, you need to hear this." Eleanor walked around the table. She stood beside Celestine. "Celestine has just received an inheritance from a distant relative, a substantial fortune. Combined with her family's good name, she meets all the requirements of father's will." Rowan went very still. "What?" "She can save the estate, Rowan, and she loves you. This is your chance, the chance you never thought you would have." Rowan looked at Celestine. His eyes searched her face, looking for the truth. "Is this real? This inheritance?" Celestine's heart twisted. This was the lie, the deception. But it was a necessary lie, a loving lie. "Yes, I learned of it only yesterday. I had not planned to mention it, but after what you told me in the woods, after everything that has happened, I realized I could not let you throw your life away for duty when there might be another path." "Another path," Rowan repeated. He sounded dazed. "A path where I do not have to choose between love and responsibility." "Yes." He closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet with tears. "You would do this. You would marry me knowing what it means, knowing the scrutiny you will face, the gossip, the judgment." "I would marry you knowing only one thing," Celestine said, "that I love you. Everything else is noise." Rowan crossed to her. He took her hands in his. They were warm, strong. "I do not deserve you." "You do. I almost married another woman while loving you. I almost ruined both our lives. But you did not. We have a second chance. We can choose differently." Rowan pulled her close. He held her like she might disappear. "I am choosing you," he said into her hair. "I am choosing love. I am choosing us." Celestine wrapped her arms around him. Relief flooded through her. It was real. It was happening. They were going to be together. The remaining guests clapped. Some laughed, some cried. Eleanor beamed like the sun. But Celestine felt a shadow of guilt. Rowan did not know the full truth. He did not know Eleanor had sacrificed everything. He did not know this was built on a beautiful lie. She pushed the guilt away. She would deal with that later. Right now, she just wanted to feel this happiness, this rightness. Rowan pulled back enough to look at her. "Marry me, today, tomorrow, whenever you wish, but marry me soon. I cannot bear to wait." "Yes," she said. "Yes, yes, yes." He kissed her, right there in front of everyone. It was not proper. It was not dignified. It was perfect. She almost confessed her feelings. The Duke spoke first and ruined everything. But then she confessed anyway, and somehow, impossibly, Everything was ruined beautifully, ruined into something better, something true. They were married 2 weeks later in the chapel at Ashford Manor. It was a small ceremony, only close friends and family, no grand display, no society spectacle, just two people promising to love each other forever. Celestine wore her mother's dress. It had been altered to fit her. The lace was old but delicate, beautiful in its simplicity. Eleanor wove flowers into Celestine's hair. She looked like something from a fairy tale. Rowan wore his father's coat. He looked nervous and happy and terrified all at once. When Celestine walked down the aisle toward him, his face transformed. Love, pure and undisguised. The ceremony was short. They spoke their vows, they exchanged rings, they kissed as husband and wife. Celestine thought she would feel different afterward, changed somehow. But she felt like herself, like the most herself she had ever been. The celebration that followed was joyful. Music played, people danced, food covered every table. Rowan never let go of Celestine's hand. He held her like she was precious, irreplaceable. As the sun set, they slipped away. They walked through the gardens. The same gardens where Rowan had written those letters, where he had loved her in secret. "I cannot believe this is real," Rowan said. He touched her face like he needed to make sure she was solid, touchable. "I keep thinking I will wake up." "It is real." She covered his hand with hers. "I am real. We are real." "I was so certain I would lose you." His voice cracked. "I was prepared to live my whole life in misery, and then you appeared in that breakfast room like an avenging angel and destroyed every plan I had made." "I am sorry." "Do not be sorry. Be here. Be mine. That is all I need." They kissed under the darkening sky. It was soft this time, gentle. They had all the time in the world now. No more rushing, no more stolen moments. Later, much later, they stood at the window of Rowan's chambers, their chambers now. The house was quiet. The guests had gone home. Eleanor had retired to her rooms. They were alone. "There is something I need to tell you," Celestine said. Her heart pounded. This was the moment she had been dreading, the moment the truth came out. Rowan pulled her closer. "What is it?" "The inheritance. It is not—" A knock at the door interrupted them. Rowan frowned. "Who would disturb us now?" He went to the door and opened it. Eleanor stood there. Her face was pale, scared. "I am sorry to interrupt," she said, "but there is something you both need to know." Rowan let her in. "Eleanor, what is wrong?" Eleanor looked at Celestine. Her eyes said, "I am sorry. I have to tell him. I cannot let you take the blame." "The inheritance was not real," Eleanor said. Her voice shook. "I gave Celestine my trust fund. I made it look like an inheritance so you would marry her without feeling guilty." The room went silent. Rowan stared at his sister, then at Celestine. "What?" "I did it for you," Eleanor continued, "because you were going to throw your life away, because you deserve to be happy, because Father's will was cruel and you should not have to suffer for it. Eleanor, you gave away your future." "I gave you yours!" Eleanor's voice rose. "My future is fine. I will still have a dowry. I will still marry well. But you would have died married to Victoria. I could not let that happen." Rowan sank into a chair. He put his head in his hands. "I do not understand. Why did you not tell me?" "Because you would have said no," Celestine said quietly. "You would have refused. You would have married Victoria anyway to protect Eleanor's future." Rowan looked up at her. His eyes were wide, wounded. "You lied to me." "I did." "You let me believe—" "I let you believe you could have everything. The estate, your responsibility, and love. Was that so terrible?" "Yes," Rowan stood up. "Yes, it was terrible. Because now I am trapped again. Trapped by my love for you. Trapped by my duty to you. What if Eleanor needs that money? What if her future is ruined because of me? My future is fine, Eleanor insisted. You do not know that. Rowan turned on her. You are 16. You have no idea what the world will demand of you. And you have no idea what love demands of you, Eleanor shot back. You are so busy worrying about everyone else that you forget to live your own life. That is my responsibility as Duke. No, that is your excuse. The words hung between them, sharp, painful. Celestine stepped forward. Rowan, please. Eleanor made her choice. I made mine. We did it out of love. If you cannot forgive us, I understand, but do not let your pride destroy what we built. Rowan looked at her, really looked at her. She could see him thinking, processing, fighting with himself. I am angry, he said finally. I am so angry I can barely breathe. You both deceived me. You took away my choice. You had no choice before, Celestine said. We gave you one. A false one. No, a real one. You could have still married Victoria. You could have honored your engagement, but you chose not to. You chose me. That was real. That was your decision. Rowan closed his eyes. He took a long breath, then another. When he opened his eyes again, something had changed. The anger was still there, but underneath it was something else. Understanding, acceptance. I need time, he said. I need to think about all of this, about what it means. Eleanor's face fell. Rowan, please, he held up his hand. Just give me time. He walked out of the room. Celestine heard his footsteps fade down the hallway. She turned to Eleanor. He will forgive us, Eleanor said, but she did not sound certain. Maybe, Celestine said, or maybe we truly did ruin everything. They stood in silence. Two women who had tried to save the man they loved, who had gambled everything on a beautiful lie, and now had to wait to see if love was enough to make it true. Rowan did not come to bed that night, or the next night. He moved into one of the guest chambers. He was polite when they passed in the hallways, but distant, cold. Celestine felt like she was breaking apart. She had won everything and lost everything in the same breath. She was married to the man she loved, but he would not look at her, would not touch her, would not forgive her. A week passed, then two. The house felt like a tomb. Eleanor cried in her rooms. Celestine walked the gardens alone. Rowan buried himself in estate business. On the 15th day, Celestine decided she could not take it anymore. She would leave. She would give Rowan his space, his house, his life back, even if it meant living apart, even if it meant breaking her own heart. She was packing her things when the door opened. Rowan stood there. He looked terrible. His hair was a mess. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were haunted. Do not leave, he said. Celestine stopped folding the dress in her hands. I cannot stay like this. I cannot be your ghost. I do not want you to be my ghost. He stepped into the room. I want you to be my wife. I am your wife. No, we spoke vows, but I have not truly married you. I have been too busy being angry to see what you gave me. What did I give you? He moved closer. His hands reached for hers. Everything. You gave me everything. A chance at happiness, at love, at a life I thought was impossible. And instead of thanking you, instead of holding you close, I have pushed you away. I have been a fool. Tears filled Celestine's eyes. You were hurt. You had every right to be angry. I did. But I have had 2 weeks to think, to really think about what happened. And I realized something. What? You and Eleanor did not take away my choice. You gave me one. Before, I was trapped. I could marry Victoria and be miserable, or refuse and lose everything. Those were my options. But you created a third option, one where I could have love and duty, where I could be happy and responsible. You gave me freedom, and I have been too stubborn to see it." Celestine gripped his hands. "Do you mean that?" "Yes, I mean every word. I love you, Celestine. I loved you before. I love you now. I will love you always. And I am done wasting time being angry when I could be holding you." He pulled her into his arms. She went willingly, eagerly. They held each other like they would never let go. "I am sorry," Celestine whispered. "I am sorry we lied. I am sorry I made you feel like you had to." He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. No more lies, no more secrets. Just us. Just truth. "Just us," she agreed. They kissed. It was slow and deep and full of promise. All the hurt melted away. All the distance closed. They were together. Finally. Truly. Later, they went to find Eleanor. She was in her rooms. Her eyes were red from crying. When she saw Rowan, she flinched. "I am not here to be angry," Rowan said gently. "I am here to thank you." Eleanor's eyes widened. "Thank me? You sacrificed your future for mine. You gave me something I did not know I needed. I have been cruel to you. I have made you suffer for an act of love. I am sorry." Eleanor ran to him. She threw her arms around his neck. "I thought you hated me." "I could never hate you. You are my sister. You are brilliant and brave and far too clever for your own good." He hugged her tight. "I love you, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure your sacrifice was not in vain. I will find a way to restore your fortune. I promise." "You do not have to." "Yes, I do. You gave me my happiness. The least I can do is secure yours." They stayed like that for a long time. 3 people bound by love and sacrifice and the messy, complicated truth of family. The months that followed were the happiest of Celestine's life. She and Rowan were inseparable. They walked the grounds every morning. They read in the library every afternoon. They talked late into the night about everything and nothing. She learned things about him she had never known. That he was afraid of spiders. That he could play the piano beautifully. That he cried when he read poetry. That he wanted 6 children. That his favorite color was the exact shade of green in her eyes. He learned about her, too. That she could not sing but tried anyway. That she loved thunderstorms. That she wanted to write a book someday. That she still missed her mother every single day. That the happiest moment of her life was when he kissed her in the woods and made her believe impossible things could be real. They grew together. They fought sometimes, small arguments about small things. But they always made up. They always came back to each other. Eleanor bloomed too. She stopped being the dramatic girl and started becoming a thoughtful woman. She read voraciously. She debated politics with Rowan. She befriended the tenant children and taught them to read. Rowan kept his promise. He worked with his solicitors to create a new trust for Eleanor. It took time and careful planning, but eventually her fortune was restored. Not from her original fund, but from careful investments and savings. She would be secure. She would be free. On their first anniversary, Rowan took Celestine back to the woods, to the place where he had kissed her, where everything had changed. "I have something for you," he said. He pulled a small book from his coat. It was bound in leather, worn from use. Celestine took it. "What is this?" "All the letters I wrote, the ones Eleanor found. I thought you should have them. You should know everything I felt, everything I could not say." She opened the book. The pages were covered in his handwriting. Letters upon letters, all starting with, "My dearest C," all ending with, "Yours always, R." She read one at random. It was from 4 months before they married. He wrote about watching her read in the library, about how the sunlight caught in her hair, about how he wanted to tell her the truth but could not, about how loving her in silence was the hardest thing he had ever done. Tears filled her eyes. "These are beautiful." "They are true," Every word. He touched her face. I meant to burn them after we married, but I could not. They are part of our story, the secret part, the painful part, but important. Thank you. She held the book to her chest. I will treasure them. They stood in the woods as the sun set, the same woods where their lives had fallen apart and come back together, where the Duke spoke first and ruined everything, and where Celestine confessed her feelings and saved everything. Do you ever regret it? Rowan asked. The lie? The deception? Do you wish we had done things differently? Celestine thought about it. Really thought about it. No, she said finally. Because if we had done things differently, we might not be here. We might not have fought for each other. Sometimes you have to break the rules to build something real. Even if it starts with a lie, especially if it starts with a lie, because we turned that lie into truth. We made it real with love. Rowan smiled. It was the smile she had fallen in love with, the one that made his whole face light up. You are wise. No, I am just a woman who loves you. That makes you the wisest person I know. He kissed her, soft and sweet, a kiss that said, I choose you, every day, forever. They walked back to Ashford Manor as darkness fell. Lights glowed in the windows, welcoming them home. Eleanor waved from the entrance. Dinner was ready. The fire was warm. Everything was right. Celestine thought about that night so long ago, when she stood outside the drawing-room door, when she heard Rowan propose to Victoria, when her world ended. She almost confessed her feelings, but the Duke spoke first and ruined everything. Except he did not ruin everything. He simply changed the path, made it longer, more painful, more complicated. But in the end, they found their way, together, and that made all the difference. 5 years later, Celestine stood in the nursery. 2 small children played at her feet, a boy with Rowan's brown hair and her green eyes, a girl with golden curls and Rowan's gentle smile. They were loud and messy and perfect. Rowan came in carrying a 3rd child, a baby barely 6 months old. He was fussy and red-faced. Rowan bounced him gently. He will not stop crying, Rowan said. He looked exhausted but happy. I think he has your stubbornness. My stubbornness? He has your dramatic nature. Celestine took the baby and settled him against her shoulder. He quieted immediately. See? He just wanted his mother. Traitor, Rowan said to the baby. But he was smiling. Eleanor appeared in the doorway. She was 21 now, beautiful and confident. A young man stood beside her, Lord Thomas Ashton, her betrothed. They were to be married in the spring. Are we still having dinner tonight? Eleanor asked. Or are you too busy with these tiny tyrants? The boy at Celestine's feet threw a block at Eleanor. She caught it neatly. Careful, young sir. I know where you sleep. The children laughed. They adored their aunt. She spoiled them terribly and taught them all the best mischief. Rowan wrapped his arm around Celestine's waist. He kissed her temple. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For everything. For loving me. For fighting for us. For giving me this life. This beautiful, messy, perfect life. Celestine leaned into him. Thank you for letting me. They stood together in the nursery, surrounded by children and love and the future they built from broken pieces. It had not been easy, it had not been simple, but it had been worth it. She almost confessed her feelings. The Duke spoke first and ruined everything. But sometimes, ruins were just foundations for something better, something stronger, something true. And in the end, they did not just survive their ruined moment, they transformed it. They turned almost into always. They turned ruin into redemption. They turned a lie into the truest love of all.